The southeastern part of Nigeria is often celebrated as a melting pot of culture and tradition. It's a region bustling with enterprise and opportunities.
Indeed, Claire, it was once regarded as one of the most peaceful zones in Nigeria. But in recent years, it feels like the narrative has shifted dramatically, hasn't it?
Absolutely, Victor. And between 2020 and 2021, record has it that the region saw a surge in violence, comprising kidnappings, abductions, killings, and it's as if a storm swept through that, region that used to be a serene heaven.
And let's not forget the secessionist agitations that added more fuel to the fire. The numbers speak volumes. Now, reports from the Next Year Security, Peace and Development Database show that in 2021 alone, 149 lives were lost in 36 separate attacks.
It's very heartbreaking indeed, Victor, and no one has been spared, from politicians, traditional rulers, farmers, to everyday citizen. Even police stations, of course, and all government infrastructure, public infrastructure, I should say, have also borne the brunt of the unrest in the southeast.
True. And in response, the Southeast Governors Forum tried to push back. Remember the introduction of the Forest Guards and the Abuja vigilante outfit?
Well, that seemed to, fizzle out even as, fast as it was established. But it seemed like a step in the right direction at the time. Instead of resolving the crisis, Abuja became a fighting or a lightning rod for controversy. Human rights abuses, extortion, and all illegal, arrests and kidnappings, of course, became the order of the day. But by 2023, it was disbanded by a federal high court. I'm sure, Victor, you remember that.
Yeah, I do remember. And security experts are unanimous on one thing. Non-state actors have turned the region into their playground. Now, the economic losses from the sit-at-home orders imposed by IPOB and other agitators are simply staggering.
Indeed. And let's also be quick to point out that this isn't just a southeast problem. Across Nigeria, of course, insecurity, is rife and hangs over us all. And if we remember the chilling revelation by the National Peace Committee, arms in the hands of non-state actors are 12 times more than what's available to law enforcement agencies.
That's a frightening reality, really. And the big question remains, how long can this endure?
I would have said that answer is blowing in the wind, but it's a question that we must keep asking until we find lasting solutions and return those regions, especially the southeast, to what it used to be, to its past glory, and of course ensure that the developmental or economic potential in that region is fully harnessed to the benefit of every Nigerian and to our nation. I welcome you to Good Morning Nigeria. It's midweek edition, and I'm Claire Adelabu Abdurazak.
And I'm Victor Azu. I thank you very much for joining us on the network service of the NTA. And coming up a bit soon is the newspaper review. But
all right, well, welcome back to the program. It's Good Morning Nigeria, and coming up next is newspaper review. Stay with us.
Right, newspaper review is set, and we do have Chukwudi Okoli Obaja in the studio, not in the building, right?
Why didn't you wait for me to finish? Didn't you see I was writing jam? How are you doing, Victor?
I'm all right.
Yeah, you don't return to find me trouble again, eh?
Yes.
Claire, how are you doing?
Yeah, well, good morning. Good morning.
It's my pleasure to look for your trouble.
I know, I enjoy it too.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think we have with me here the New Telegraph to begin with, and it leads with this headline: Census must hold this year, Senate tells FG. Wants MPC's 2025 budget to target headcount. Laments Nigeria still planning with 19-year-old figures. That's on page 3. And then the picture story of the JAMB registrar and the Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu. Below that picture, Trump begins first full day in office with deportations, climate rollbacks, sacks 4 top presidency officials, states sue to stop Trump's order blocking birthright citizenship. WHO asks U.S. to reconsider withdrawal of membership, recounts decades of life-saving partnership. And that story is on pages 4 and 5. And just beside it, Tinubu to Ogoni leaders will prioritize peace, justice. Meets with Fubara, Wike, others at Aso Rock. Urges them to work together. Consult properly in talks for Ogoni oil resumption. Mossop tells presidency as coalition demands $1 trillion compensation. Now, details of that you get on pages 2 and 6. And just below the masthead, you have 2025 WEF, of course, that's World Economic Forum. Shatima markets Nigeria, Africa as investment destination. Says continents woken up, ready to rattle the world. That's on page 5. And from the Ministry of Interior, Tunji Ojo, centralized visa approval system will curb corruption. Says online application to start before March 1. And that story is on page 4. Tax reform bills have potential to modernize Nigeria's tax system. That's according to NTA. And Jakba Uni-Uyo Teaching Hospital returns 1.056 billion naira to FG. Some meant for 2024 salaries of staff who left in search of greener pastures. Interesting. That story is on page 3. All right, let's move on to the Daily Trust, which leads with, the story I just finished with. Jakba, our hospitals will be empty in 2 years. That's according to CMDs. Judges, military, more favored. Okay, judges, military, more favored. That's according to the NMA. And 16,000 doctors left Nigeria in 5 years. And that story is on page 3. And just below the nameplate, EU, UN kick as Trump pulls US out of WHO and Paris Agreement, page 30. FG approves new polytechnic, names it after Tinubu, page 20. Gunmen kill 7 traders in Yobe Market, 3 attackers gunned down. You find details on page 6, and you find the picture story of Niger residents scooping groundnut oil after a tanker fell in Bida, Niger State on Monday. And below that story, finally, Abuja Kaduna Road awarded to I'm not sure I understand that. Awarded to Infuest, not InfoQuest. That's according to Minister interested.
And you'll tell me what's the name. And don't punish you now.
Infuest, not InfoQuest.
The ball is in your court.
That was I think almost all the stories you have read it. The blueprint has almost all the stories. Okay. Plus, of course, visa applications to go online before March 1. Says Tunji Ojo. There's also the story on the FG convicted over 100 terrorist financiers in 2 years. That's coming from President. Is on page 6. Federal government confirms anthrax outbreak in Zamfara. And of course, resident scoops groundnut oil as another tanker falls in Niger State again. And health workers leaving Nigeria in droves. Hospitals empty, CMDs lament. And I think these are all the stories that we have for you today. Chukwudi, yesterday we talked about Trump and WHO.
Yes, that's not good for the world because let's not say what happens to the world when America sneezes. We can actually also trump up our own effort so that it doesn't seem as if America is not part of it. It's a non-affair. You know, it's just like what he's telling NATO. You know, it's not even 2.5%. We want from you this time 5%. Up your defense budgets and all that. Same way, WHO and the climate people should try to do things to make America begin to know that they are not really indispensable. I'm not saying this to spite America, but you see, in life, in the newsroom, when I was actively in the newsroom, I never liked it when you gave us the impression that without Victor or Claire, news is not going to go. I'll tell you, no, you're not planning properly, that's why. So let us rise to the occasion and show Trump that the world can exist without him, you know?
Precisely.
Without American contribution to certain things.
You know, this was my point yesterday when we were having this conversation,
yes.
You know, when you left. If America will call the shots so long as you allow them to make, you know, to pull up the lion's share all the time and in every way.
Exactly.
So others should also step up and do their own fair share. And then you can be equal partners. If he decides to pull, well, you can say to hell with him.
It's actually a natural thing. Yes, China does not have that interventionist attitude in the affairs of other countries. But in a subtle manner, China is asserting itself in so many ways, you know. It's human to try to get more territory in addition to the space God has given you. Greed comes in somewhere. It's almost everywhere. Who was it? Condoleezza Rice was talking to the Atlantic Council just 4 days ago. She said, big powers don't mind their business. Remember, she was a Secretary of State. It's like, they don't understand. You say you want to become an isolationist outfit. America now will stay on its own. The rest of, no, big powers don't mind their business.
Okay,
this is a topic about talking.
Okay, others will run off short over you.
Let's
no, take the space you're
Chukwudi and Victor,
yes,
let's mind our own business at home.
It's just
because Trump's 2.0 presidency will be talk of the world for a long time to come.
That's my engine's caliber.
Yes,
2.0.
sorry. Yes, I wanted to mention a headliner on Blueprint,
yes.
Which is also alarming. It's worrisome, it's concerning.
Japan.
Health workers leaving Nigeria in droves. Hospitals will be empty, CMDs lament. And these are CMDs of major health institutions who appeared before the House of Reps Committee on Health Institutions. And they are saying in the next 1 or 2 years, we are going to have all our hospitals empty. We need to do something about the remuneration of all the healthcare workers. He said the major reason why people leave is for economic reasons. Consultants are earning less than $1,000.
You know, first of all, let the health workers not diminish their established God-given status by saying judges, military, more favored and all that. It's unfortunate if that is how it is, because it should never have happened at all. Health is not joked with in the Western world. Well, what were we saying the other time? Let dialysis become free and all that. People don't joke with health. So we must accord all the recognition, all the attention to health in our country. I'm tired of saying here, I've been going to National Hospital, you know, for the past 1.5 years because of somebody, you know. And a matron told me when I complained, look, you've not put the boy in the ward. I've been waiting here since 30 minutes. She took a look at me and said, my dear, I have been here in the past 4 days. I've not gone home. I am now doing the job of 3 people because they have all left. You know, I kept quiet.
You know, yesterday...
You need to know what is happening there.
Chukwudi, yesterday, Ambassador Joe Keshi, in fact, we raised this issue when we were having a conversation on implications of Trump's administration on Nigeria. And Ambassador Joe Keshi said something. He said we need to beef up our institutions so that, because you cannot really absolutely or in absolute terms stop people from, you know, going abroad. Yes, keep looking training for greener pastures. Yeah, but what you can do is to train as they leave. You are churning out, you know, you're churning out more professionals.
Because the departures also contribute. They come back to contribute in terms of form of diaspora.
You are talking about natural solutions, but the gap is still there. A surgeon of 25 years experience is not a surgeon of 3 years experience. Maneuvering the human body with that scalpel is not easy, you know. So I understand what you're talking about, but experience is experience.
I agree. Let's quickly look at Ogoni, and of course, Mr. President, you know, nudged to them. Says we can't heal wounds with anger, stress, and mutual trust. And, you know, Fubara responding, that's Fubara, that's the River State Governor, will abide by President's instructions. He said, we cannot in any way rewrite history, but we can correct some anomalies of the past going forward. We cannot heal the wounds if we continue to be angry. That's what Mr. President said. And I think specifically
part of the problem there is, of course, it all dates back to Sarawiwa times, even earlier. Remember, Ledumite was the one that miraculously did not go to Abacha's hangman and all that. So the point is this, where you have a mineral resource of the magnitude of crude, yes, it's not only that place, and petrodollars come in. Community's cohesion is threatened. You need to really be your brother's keeper to be able to keep on keeping away the devil that is knocking on the door. But beyond that, you see, you tell people too that too much sense no good. There's a level you take what you know to, that you become a witch against yourself. One of the signs of great wisdom is knowing when to appear foolish. It doesn't mean you're foolish, but you want the other man to have another day. So let Ogoni people, let Rivers people look inwards. It's just like the Fubara wicked. I've said here. It's not the court that is going to settle it.
And if you look at
ultimately, it's not.
If you look at
watch out what will
if you look at the front page,
legal problem.
If you look at the front page, if you look at the front page of Blueprint, the picture story there for us, if you can have that paper, you know. You will see the River State Governor and the Minister of the FCT, or, you know, on the front row, the side, you know, left and right of Mr. President.
Yes.
And I do hope that this will be a platform, you know, for further, you know, efforts to resolve whatever lingering crisis, because it's part of, it also will impact on what may go on in Ogoni. What may go on.
I wish I can be as hopeful as you. You know, politicians are not as emotional as we are. They went for a meeting and they have to stay where they stay.
No.
The interests
they
are the issues.
The compassion.
It is the interest that is the issue.
It is our duty. It is our duty. Yes. You know, to bring out these things, to keep talking to them in whichever way, whether they show emotion or not. It is the responsibility of the media to keep.
We must first of all commend Mr. President for coming into it.
Absolutely.
Somebody was saying the other time, it's against the Constitution for the President to advise the governor, you know, on what to do. Fine, for crying out loud, this is Africa. A big brother does not stand by and watch younger people tear themselves to pieces. So President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has to be commended for trying to, you know, but Rivers people, more than anything else, need to talk to themselves.
Do you know that Trump has invested billions of dollars into AI?
You're talking about $500 billion in the next 5 years. It is mind-blowing. That is proactiveness. And that's how government should act.
All right. Thank you. A good place to stop. We thank you, Chukwudi.
Thank you so much.
Tomorrow is another day, by God's grace. All right. Let's take a short break. Please join us again when we come back.
All right, many thanks for staying with us on Good Morning Nigeria. Well, the studio is set for our conversation on the security situation in the southeast. But just before we delve in, let's take this background report put together by Oyeyemi Ajayi.
The insecurity menace in the southeast has continued to be a big nut yet to be cracked, despite a series of measures and strategies put in place. Most of these nefarious activities are sometimes allegedly connected to members of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, and their Eastern Security Network allies. Reports indicate they attack armed security operatives at checkpoints in the face of any slightest chance, with huge economic losses as a result of the weekly sit-at-home they imposed. Stakeholders have advised security operatives deployed to the southeast to adopt an intelligence-driven approach while condemning the uncountable roadblocks on major roads. Recently, crew members of Super Sports going to cover the match between the Super Eagles and the Mediterranean Knights of Libya in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State, were kidnapped in Iseke, a border town in Ihiala Council area, with Olu, Imo State, where 3 people lost their lives during the attack. The President General of the Umunze community and another community leader were also abducted some time ago in Umunze, and they spent 15 days in the hands of the abductors. In August and September 2024, gunmen attacked the divisional police stations at Umunze and Oba Inobi, both in Ndemili South and in Nnewi. In fact, the list of the attacks remain endless. There have also been daylight killings in different areas of the region, and some of these victims were security operatives. On his part, the Obi of Onitsha, His Royal Majesty Alfred Nnaemeka Achebe, had called on the Nigerian government to convene a security and economic summit in the country to tackle problems of insecurity, while lamenting that crime has increased in Anambra State, with some attributing lingering insecurity in the southeast to the lack of political will by those in power to punish the perpetrators. However, there seems to be hope as the Enugu State Governor is putting up serious measures to tackle insecurity in the state, with a well-equipped command and control center securely located inside the government house with high-tech security gadgets covering some parts of the state connected to it. Now, despite all this, insecurity in the region has persisted, raising the question of the possibility of ending insecurity in the region. And what more should be done to stem the tide of insecurity in the region? Our guest in the studio will be answering these questions and more shortly.
All right, thank you very much, Oyeyemi Ajayi, for the background report. And we have our guests already seated here in the studio. So I'll quickly start the introductions. We have Ibrahim Ahmed Katsina, who is the former Assistant Director General, DSS, and former Special Advisor to Governor Masari on security matters. And we're very glad that you're able to join us for this conversation. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
And we also have here, for the first time, with us, we are having a female discuss security matters, and that's why I'm really very proud to introduce Mary Ikoku, Chairman, Media and Communications, Peace in Southeast Project. And of course, she has a chieftaincy title, which we must not overlook, Ugu Igbo. That's the pride of the Igbos. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me around.
Dr. Onyeka Young Nwafo is the former governorship aspirant in Anambra State.
Incumbent.
Incumbent. Incumbent?
Present.
Oh,
For
yes.
the next governorship
For the next
election.
governorship election. That's coming up sometime towards the end of this year. I'm very sorry for that. I'm really very sorry for that. Thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
All right.
And from Yola at Adamawa State studio, we have been joined by a retired commissioner of police and a former Force Public Relations Officer, Emmanuel Ojukwu. A pleasure to welcome you to Good Morning Nigeria. Commissioner for Information, Anambra State, joins us via Zoom from Awka. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Mayfor. It's been a while.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for hosting me. Thank you.
All Right, Commissioner, thank you. I think it's good we start from you, since you are, there in Southeast. Could you just give us a picture of what the security situation is at the moment? Although we get a feel of some degree of sanity returning to that region, but tell us what's life like now.
Dr. Mefo?
Dr. Mefo, I said I was starting with you.
The question for me?
Yes. Oh yes, Dr. Mefo, because you are in the base, you are there in the Southeast. We want to feel the pulse of the Southeast through your eyes.
Oh, thank you. Security is still a bit of concern here, and from the intro you gave, your documentary, that they tried to summarize the security situation in the Southeast. Yes, you captured much of it. And the political leadership down here are aware of this and are responding. So the issue of political will is no longer a problem. In Anambra, for example, we have always kept security in the front burner. That led to the creation of the Homeland, the Ministry of Homeland Affairs. Essentially, is because of security. And of course, even before now, the state government put in place a 250-man strike force in Anambra. And of course, last Saturday, 18th of January 2025, we now launched the mega security intervention force, which we will call Operation Udogachi. Operation Udogachi simply means that peace shall prevail, for the benefit of those who do not understand the language. And it is a multi-security sector intervention force. The military, the armed forces, the police, the civil defense, and of course our own vigilante, Anambra Vigilante Group, which is now branded Abuja Chamber. The six structures, security structures, are now working together to rid Anambra State of insecurity. And the operations are fully covered by the new law, the law we call the Homeland Security Law 2025. It provides for kinetic and non-kinetic approaches.
Sorry, Dr. Mefo, permit me to come in here. I wanted you to give us, an overview of what it is. And when we talk about security matters, we're not just talking about the bigger picture involving, the proscribed, people of Biafra, IPOB and all that. We're also talking about crimes and criminalities. Now, how safe is it now for people to move from Bridgehead down through Upper Iweka, through Nkpo, for instance, that's within your area, and down to the east? How safe is it? Is it as safe as, you can close your eyes and, pass through those areas?
In Anambra State, insecurity is still a bit of concern, but it's not as orchestrated. You just talked about Opiwega to go down to all parts of Anambra State. I can tell you, I live here. The only place we have serious security challenges in Ihiala and a bit of Orumba. The rest of the 19 local government areas in Nigeria, in Anambra State, are generally safe. That's what I want you to know. And you can come down and experience it. And even in Ihiala, as we speak, there is a total shutdown going on down there as we speak. And it's a matter of weeks if Ihiala will be retrieved fully and security restored in the area. So work is going on seriously, and insecurity is being dealt with, and all the enablers that have helped insecurity in the Southeast are also being contained, like the issues related to drugs, issues related to cultism. Many of those issues are now being dealt with. So Southeast, Anambra particularly, is the...
Dr. Mefo, thank you. Thank you very much for the efforts that you are making to bring about peace. But what I am yet to understand is that in spite of all of this, there is still sit at home almost 4 years after the incumbent governor came on and, made some spirited efforts to end it. Why is there still sit at home in Anambra, for instance, which affects the economy? Anambra is a marketplace, large markets that are impacted by the sit at home and, whether you like it or not, the economy of the state.
Yeah, you see, sit at home is part of the insecurity we experience here in Anambra. And it's being enforced by those who believe that the incarceration of Nnamdi Kanu can only be reversed. That is, that Nnamdi Kanu will be released if they keep pushing the sit at home and this enforcement. And it's ideological, I must say, and many people believe in it. And because of the violent enforcement, many who do not believe in it are also sort of keeping away. But of course, I want to also tell us that sit at home is reducing drastically. It is not happening all over Anambra State every Monday. Oka, for example, there is no sit at home in Oka. And in many parts of Anambra State, you will see vehicular movement. Though it is not as heavy as it should be, as you find in ordinary days. It's ideological. All I can say, since some of these people are using Nnamdi Kanu as an excuse, if you want to help reduce insecurity in Anambra and in the Southeast, release Nnamdi Kanu this morning, and you will see that some of these excuses will begin to fizzle out.
Dr. Mefo, we do apologize. We'll get back to you. We're trying to see, to adjust the connectivity to you. But we'll come back to the studio while our engineers get that done. And I'm taking my conversation now to Mary Ikoku. And as you must have heard, Ihiala and Urumba, and not just in Anambra State, in other parts of Imo State. If you talk about Olu Umunze, from our report, you also hear Ikehara Junction. These are all hotspots now, and these things are not happening in vacuum. There must be things, triggering, this crisis. Why do you think the insecurity in the Southeast has persisted for so long?
Thank you very much. I think that, well, first of all, I'm happy we're having this conversation for a zone that was deemed the safest in Nigeria to be going through this phase is rather unfortunate. I think that one thing is a lack of a dearth of leadership in that region is one critical problem where in the past where you are having non-state actors actually their words seem to be more obeyed than the words of the leadership. So where you can have a government functionary making a case for Nnamdi Kanu as a panacea to peaceful Southeast. It may be one of the reasons, but it cannot be a capital asking of the people of the Southeast. Reason being that you have to look at the pockets of ineffectiveness that first of all have led to this. Insecurity pervaded every part of Nigeria. starting from Bruno, the north and all, northeast and all that, before it even came to the southeast. But the question is, what have been done by the government actors in the region? You saw the southwest when they floated the Amoteco and see how that went. The southeast also came up with Ebubago, the region, when Governor Mahi was governor of Ebonyi State. So they had floated this Ebubago. But we don't know, apart from a uniform of this Ebubago, we don't really, I can't tell what really happened with that outfit, you know. Whether they were really funded. I think there was this gap even within the governors of the Southeast. I didn't think there was enough cohesion and harmony among those governors to really call this insecurity a one-point agenda that all of them needed to put in efforts to solving it. That was one. And then it got to the point of even more non-state actors rising from far away, what is he called? Not beyond the Nnamdi Kanu now. Some young man in
Simon
Ekpa, you know, in a faraway country, also dishing out instructions, and people are obeying. His own activity and that of IPOP and then the sit at home is also what to look at. What even led to the sit at home? So I think they used to make movement, and government would stop them. Protest is a right of any citizen. So when you stop people from protesting, the sit at home started. And that's one thing I need to commend the current IG of police in this issue. Because I don't know if that IG has where his specialization is. He may have a training in protest management. Because the last, the End Bad Government protest that we had in this country was the first time we saw the police speaking the language of civilians during a protest event, where you saw the police, actually some of our women that went on that protest, the police hired buses for them to take them back to their homes. It has never happened in Nigeria before. And that's by the way. Unpacking the insecurity in the South is everybody's business. Now I work in the Peace in Southeast project. It's another layer of intervention. When the previous governors of the Southeast has made their own effort through Ebubaga and other local vigilantes like the commissioner had mentioned that is going on in Anambra State. Now we have the leadership of the National Assembly. So it is everybody's, it should be everybody's responsibility.
You've just mentioned two factors.
Two factors.
Yes, political leadership. According to you.
Yes.
Which you think has not been favorable enough to the Southeast. You've also talked about approach.
Yes.
In resolving, you know, the crisis.
Yes.
So are these the only two, you know, gaps, vacuum?
There are also
gaps, right?
agitations, very valid agitations of a people that felt that they've been kind of mistreated by their country. There are genuine agitations by the people of the Southeast where you have people saying, we feel left out in the Committee of States called Nigeria, where you are seeing that the critical infrastructure in the Southeast are broken down. There are bridges in the Southeast that were taken down during the Civil War. They're still unbuilt. And that's why those are genuine agitations, you know, and that could possibly be what have led to this kind of insecurity as well. But there's also non-state actors that are criminal elements. And we need to also look at those ones to say, what even leads to people having these criminal activities? The lack of jobs can also feel that kind of insecurity. People not being gainfully employed. They say the idle man is the devil's workshop. So that needs to be addressed in the region. So I like the fact that now you are having also non-state actors wielding so much influence. Now you are getting to a point where they are also attacking our institutions, security institutions. It is crazy. And then you find like in the issue of in other states where 5 military officers were killed in the most unfortunate
Malicious.
manner, you know. And then my work in the Peace in Southeast project has also exposed me to some of the issues that are going on in the Southeast and how much the Southeast has continued to lose in monetary terms due to this one-day sit-at-home. We are highly entrepreneurial people. So every Monday, Southeast loses at least 655 billion and over 3.6 trillions in monetary terms that they lose every day, as in every Monday that you hold sit at home in that Southeast. All the transport companies are not able to run their usual transportation from all parts of Nigeria to the Southeast. They don't move on Mondays. That is a lot of money going down the drain. So you can't also stop your own people from going about their legitimate businesses. You stop them from going about. So this current leadership of the Southeast, things are looking up. When you have, I think some of them may need to take a cue from and understudy the governor of Enugu State to find out what exactly it is he's doing that have been able to reinstate some level of reasonable peace in Enugu State. Also, Abia State.
Do they go to work on Mondays?
Yes.
Enugu?
Most of these states, I think, even Abia State, in the cities, there's movement. People go to work. Some may not for fear of the unknown. But Enugu State, reasonably, I've been there on a Monday, I flew, and things were working.
What is the challenge of the PISP? Because it seems that a lot, has gone a bit cold on that front. Initially, there was a lot of vigor, there was a lot of assurances by your principal that this was going to happen. But recently, that hasn't been the case. What are the challenges? Why does it look like the PISP is also unable to get this done?
No, it hasn't gone quiet. It may have gone quiet in terms of media, but we are working in the background. We may not have come here, but we've also have continued to implement some of the thematic areas that drives the Southeast Peace in Southeast project. So sometimes this is development work. Don't forget that PISP, Peace in Southeast project, is a non-governmental organization. And we've also hired hands of people who are development experts who are now sitting day to day, articulating, conceptualizing the programs, and now with the view to run the project as it should be run. And when you don't, it hasn't really quieted down to say, because in the last couple of weeks, the Peace Fund, that you may hear about the Peace Fund, is all part of the Peace in Southeast project. What the Peace Fund was doing, we've gone to all the 5 southeastern states on outreaches, and this outreach was to give support and succor to wives and families of the police officers, military officers that these guys have killed. So the way we felt we could rehabilitate them or support these families or pay back to these men and women who have laid down their lives in actives in the line of duty, killed by our own people, is to say we can only honor them by supporting their loved ones, the families they left behind. So we went last month to Abia, Anambra, Enugu, Imo, and Ebonyi State, the 5 southeastern states.
All right.
And each of those states, the kind of support we gave to the widows, you can even dial the IG of police, they will tell you they've been commending Peace in Southeast for this project.
Let's take the issues that you have raised. Political leadership and genuine agitation for infrastructural development. And taking my question to Dr. Nwafo. I mean, you're a politician.
Before you go there,
yes.
I was landing before he got
yes.
I was saying that when I talked about political leadership, remember I mentioned Ebubagu era.
Yes.
But I also said that increasingly with the new leadership in the Southeast,
yes,
things are looking up.
Yes,
because
yes,
we now have, like, there's a Southeast Governors Forum where they've come together, and their only agenda for that forum at that summit was on insecurity.
That's what I wanted him to speak to, because I wanted you to talk to us the impact of that, forum within the context of leadership, political leadership. Okay. Yes.
Okay. When you look at the forum of Southeast governors, you see, as she previously mentioned, these governors come together on the issues that has to do with security, when you want to go to development of the Southeast. But it seems that there is a disconnect from those governors. Enugu State governor is not up to 2 years in office, but he has taken security serious. Ebonyi State governor is not up to 2 years in office, he has taken security serious. Abia State governor is not up to 2 years in office, he has taken security serious. To the point that I can tell you today, you move around in those states, even on Mondays. When you get to Imo State, we know how things has been bad, but the governor of Imo State has taken security serious. But the different ball game falls in Anambra. You see, I begin to wonder if maybe this Southeast governors meeting, when they meet, whatever communique or whatever discussion they have, if governors like Governors Chukwuma Soludo carries it out to go and implement. Let me take, for example, when you go to Anambra, because this is a very serious issue. This thing is said that Ihiala and Orumba are some places whereby you cannot move. It is a complete lie. Anambra today is losing a lot of money for issues of insecurity. You can't even pass Anambra, move ordinarily. You don't need Monday for you to say, no, I don't need to come out. Even in ordinary days, you can even be kidnapped in the morning in Oka. You don't even need to go to Onitsha. You don't need to go to other places. You can now see that. You begin to ask, what is this political will where other governors are taking this serious, giving implementations, going far as if we need to talk to these people, if we need to be a strike force to end this issue. The political will of other governors are very strong. So you see that there is a serious disconnect when it comes to Southeast.
But to single out Anambra might not be fair, because I don't think that Anambra is the worst hit. If you ask me, I have my take on which state is the worst, the absolute worst hit when it comes to this insecurity in the Southeast. And so if we are looking at what would be your assessment on a general basis, as far as I know, Monday is still a sit-at-home day in every state of the Southeast. It's still a day that people will prefer to stay in their homes, because you don't want to be the object of testing. You don't want to go out to find out whether there is peace or not. So psychologically, the people have, they seem to have surrendered to say, let me just hold my peace on Mondays, we can continue trading on Tuesday. And this is across all the 5 states of the Southeast.
No, when you talk of this sit at home, I don't know if you have visited Enugu on a Monday. I don't know if you have visited Ebonyi on a Monday.
I would like to.
Okay. On a Monday, businesses are open in Enugu. Businesses are open in Ebonyi. Businesses are open in Imo State.
In Imo?
Yes, I've been there.
And I was just trying to find out, even as recent as December, we had the killings in also local government area of Imo State. People talk about the very heavy militarization of this junction. What do you call it now in Imo State? Ekehara Junction. Have you been to all this area? So it's not like you said. Why are you, isolating Anambra State when we have more killings, in different parts of Imo State, for instance?
Okay, let me give you an example. There was a report by SMB that was published in different dailies, when you talk, when you're talking of insecurity, we know very well that Southeast is facing challenges of insecurity. But the question you ask yourself, where do you hear every day when you go to or log in online to see what is happening? You just see, there's no way you will not see kidnapping. The report gave Anambra number 1 out of the 10 states that was mentioned, 87%. That same report said that 400 million ransom was demanded, 350 was paid.
So what do you think is the issue? Because we are talking about development and political leadership, and she has said, see, the Southeast Governors Forum, have shown some political will, and that's why we're getting the kind of cautious peace at the moment, and people were able to travel even to the to the east during the December period, and we didn't record quite. So that's what I'm saying. What do you think can be done? How can we galvanize the inroads that we're making now and ensure that the Mondays my colleague Victor is talking about are no longer sit-at-home days? But I want to talk. Let's bring the conversation now to the security experts, and we have, of course, a former DSS Director General to speak to this issue. Yes. Sorry.
Deputy.
Oh, Deputy, sorry. Assistant Director General, that's what we're. Yes.
Actually, we should agree we have a problem at hand. And there's no need for blame game. That's the crux of the discussions. Every crime has a local content. And I'm happy with our observations. It's so excellently illustrated. You see, the problem in the Southeast has 3 dimensions. One, the feeling of marginalization, which initially is the crux of the matter. And let us be frank to ourselves. An average Igbo man is feeling is not being carried along in the Nigerian project, which we need to address. Then the issue of political manipulation. The elites use this problem to manipulate the psyche of the average person and make him to agitate so that they can be situated to have their appointments and what have you. Then the third issue is youth restiveness, which is making us feel the crux of the matter now. Drug abuse, crimes and criminality and what have you. What do we do to address these issues? Because unless you identify and realize the factors responsible for these agitations, you will just be moving in the same cycle and you cannot find solution. Now that we've found the factors responsible for this agitation in the Southeast, what do we do? One, the strategic approach. The current security approach to it needs to be changed for 2 reasons. You cannot be doing the same thing and expecting different results. The over-militarization of the approach has changed the psyche of the average person to also carry arms. We need to change that. In my own perspective, based on the research I've been conducting on this issue, we also need 3 approaches to this problem. One, the political dimension, which is also illustrated. I'll just build on that. The political leadership in the Southeast need to come together and tell themselves the truth. Make wider consultations. These children that are involved into this problem are our own children. Let us talk to ourselves. Everybody is a stakeholder, and everybody should be involved in this political project. When we do that, you carry people along, you can have a common ground of addressing these problems. Because these problems are identifiable. Those that are perpetrating them are known. It's not that they are not known. And it's a problem that's affecting almost all parts of the country. Everywhere you see these agitations, the local people are supporting it. And the political class knows who are supporting it. The simple thing is to make an effective reach-out strategy that will bring people along, sit together, and I'm happy with the Southeast project they are doing, bring peace in Southeast, is every region should try to involve in that aspect. By the time we involve the political leadership to galvanize everybody, irrespective of your political leanings, our people are affected. What do we do to rescue them? Because by the time we allow this crime to continue, everybody is a victim. That is one. The second solution is the economic solution. youth empowerment. Southeast is a hub that has people that are very, very industrious. We should change the psyche of their perception. Instead of this crime, what does it lead us to? We are losing a lot. With simple orientation of the psyche of the average person, I am telling you, I've worked in the Anambra State. I know the psychology of an average Igbo person. He is so independent and is so struggling to earn his own independence. When you understand that, redirect the thinking of the average person, create economic opportunities. I am telling you, anywhere you see an Igbo man, he will excel in economic entrepreneurship, be it locally or internationally. Then why can't the political class move into this direction, create opportunities? When you do that, you will see how the region will develop. And in fact, other regions can even copy. That is the second solution. The third solution is the security enforcement system, mechanism. But the problem is we're taking the third to be the first. And it should be the last, the security enforcement mechanism, to deal with the crimes and criminality, those that are involved, so that if they're dealt with appropriately, it will serve as a deterrent to others. But unless we strategize and change the approach, the way we're doing now, we feel, okay, every state now, based on the explanations we have had, is trying to create military structure, security structure that will deal with the challenge, forgetting about the political structure, forgetting about the economic structure. Unless you do this too, I am telling you, it has been happening in the north. You have seen it. People have been killed, and we are only enforcing laws. It's rather unfortunate, my sister, that we take pride in saying we have killed so number of terrorists, we have killed so number of, but what have we done to change their psyche? To stop other people from getting involved.
That's why they become more recruited. But
simple and clear.
Let's get to retired CP Emmanuel Ojukwu, who is in our Yola studio. CP, thank you for your patience. Thank you very much for your patience. I'd just like to find out from you what your perception is of the security situation in the Southeast. Of course, from former Assistant Director General of the DSS, this security is across the country, most parts of the country. But what are the peculiarities in the Southeast, and how should we begin to deal with them?
Okay. Thank you for having me. I've listened to my colleagues in the studio and then the Commissioner for Information, Anambra State. I want to say at the outset, I'm from Anambra State, and I've worked in all the states except Ebonyi State. In any case, I'm married from Ebonyi State. So I have links in all the 5 southeastern states. What I see playing out is a lot of criminality. The 5 states are not safe, so to speak, but they can be redeemed. And that's the area I want to look at. I've attended a number of Southeast Security Summits. There is political will by the governors of those states, but I don't think there's so much seriousness about security. If you attend such summits, people who have ideas to share on how to make the state safer are not listened to. You may spend 30 minutes on honorifics, introduce somebody, you get 25 PhD degrees. That's not what we are there for. Traditional dancer will come and dance, wasting time. The real issue of the day will not be discussed because time has eaten into it. So those ideas are not harassed. Governors by themselves cannot solve that problem because they don't have all the wherewithal. The wherewithal reside in people who have the knowledge, who are in those states, and who have ideas elsewhere in Nigeria. Ideas govern a people, ideas rule people. Get ideas, form a think tank, and listen to them on how to move forward. All of them are concerned but there's no more seriousness. And they're working in silos. Working in silos. You know, what affects the eyes affects the nose. These states are contiguous. There's a lot of movement of criminality from Imo State to Anambra State, Anambra State to Imo State, Enugu State to Ebonyi State, as the case may be. So there's no harmony, no synergy among the governors of these states on how to deal with this issue. They're working in silos, and that is a no-no as far as I'm concerned. I was a member of the Anambra State Truth, Justice, and Peace Commission to look into the undercurrents of what brought about insecurity in the Southeast, in particular Anambra State. None of the other governors keyed into it. They thought it's an Anambra problem. But like I said, they are contiguous. What happens to one affects the other. As a matter of fact, what happens to Kogi State affects Anambra State, affects Enugu State, because they have borders. I was CP in Enugu State, I was CP in Kogi State. I know that of a truth. So let's look at the undercurrents. My colleague, the former director of DSS at the DG, is Assistant DG, very valid point about marginalization. We need to communicate with the people who are feeling bad, who are feeling sad. We need to talk to them and get their psyche, bring them back from where they're going. Because when somebody is crying or when somebody is beaten, you say you should not cry. Using kinetic approach, you are making a mistake. You are driving them deeper into resistance. And resistance is a form of self-defense. There are issues arising from the Civil War. Nigeria has not brought it to a closure. Nigeria has not been fair in not closing the issues arising from Civil War. Anytime it's brought up, we treat it with kid gloves, and it's affecting the nation. So we need to address it. There is also the degeneration to what I may call idolatry. A good number of young men are not believing in miracles and in charms that will make them invincible, impenetrable to weapons of offense. And that embodies them, it gives them a delusion of grandeur to confront security agencies. They die by the day, we lose our people, we shed blood, the land is polluted, families keep mourning, keep hurting, and are looking for vengeance. We need to change, in addition, to non-kinetic approach. This jackboot policing is not helping us. Militarizing our democracy is not good for us. The more you bring soldiers, the more the boys get their own arms, because arms are manufactured in Anambra State and from Oka, and I know of a truth. So the more you bring soldiers, the more the boys get their own arms, because they believe in what they're fighting for. We need to desensitize them gradually. Desensitize them, remove them from that. So issues of marginalization. When somebody is feeling hot, find out the areas where he's feeling hot, address those areas, pacify him. There is no offense. In fact, there is gain in saying sorry to somebody. If you say sorry to somebody, you heal the wound. People who are doing the war, some have not been mourned. We recommended that there should be a day of mourning in the Southeast. That those who are killed during the war, needless war, should be mourned collectively. It will bring healing. It will bring closure. I'm talking about psychological issues to solve this problem. It's not about having a bagu which has been politicized, or it's having a chamber which may be politicized, may be a weapon of offense against political enemies or political, opponents. So militarizing doesn't solve that problem. We need to talk, gentlemen and ladies.
Wow. Former CP Ojukwu, thank you. And I really don't know what to say. Thank you for all the points that you have raised, and very, very, fundamental points that I know that all the stakeholders in the Southeast Peace Project should take notes. And let's bring in Dr. Lomefo once again to speak to us on probably some of the key actions now that you have taken. One, to build trust, you know, in the people, because even if you do everything and there's lack of trust in what, you know, in the government of the day, you still go back to square one. And mutual distrust between the people and state government apparatus is another, you know, a key factor that analysts have pointed out to. So what are you doing to break down that world of mutual distrust?
Thank you once more. We need to, first and foremost, I thank CP Ojukwu, Agune Chamber, which we now call our vigilante in Anambra, is not a political tool and will never be. We advise all politicians to work with the government in this regard. When it comes to security, dealing with insecurity, there is no politics and there should be no politics. That is one. Yes, I also agree that there is need for regional cooperation. And let me quickly point out, Abuja never really took off as a regional force, as conceived. It never did. So the states are doing their own. And now Anambra has launched a mega security intervention. And before I point out some peculiar components of that, I want to draw our attention to the efforts being made by Professor Chukwuma Soludo to rebuild the confidence of the people. And I think it speaks to your question. And you will find it in the amnesty program that he has launched. He has told those who stay in the bush, who believe that they are agitating for what they believe is their right, and those who may have been misled, to take the window that will close on 28th of February this year. In fact, this amnesty was announced since last year, that people will have to come out, they will be rehabilitated, they will be given a skill, given starter packs, given funds to start a new life. This is what the governor has promised. And I advise people to really take up this opportunity. And of course, we are not just facing what you call a kinetic approach, you know, violence and counter-violence, killings and counter-killings. No, you have very robust arrangements for non-kinetic approach. And the amnesty program is one of it. And of course, I talked about the enablers. There are people who are relying on idolatry charms, you know, what you call in Igbo balance, you know, they name it Okite, Egobute. All these things have been criminalized in Anambra now. So the confidence building is on. And
yes, Dr. Mefo, thank you. I wanted you to speak to the issue of, you know, working in silos. Former CP mentioned that the state, you know, governors in the whole of the Southeast are working in silos. And that was probably why the Abuja, you know, didn't take off fully. Now you're talking about amnesty, which the governor of Anambra State is, you know, offering, you know, what will I say, you know, criminals or other elements. Now, if they accept the amnesty and Anambra is at peace, you heard CP Ojukwu. I mean, what happens in Imo would definitely affect Anambra State. So why is it difficult for Southeast governors to work in synergy and not in silos to resolve the crisis in the area? I think I want to. Yes, we didn't lose him. We lost the connectivity. The connectivity. Yes, and maybe I should throw the question to you. You know, why is it that the southeastern governors or stakeholders cannot come together and work as a team?
It's back, by the way. Okay.
Okay, please, Dr. Mefo, please, can you take the question, or if you want me to repeat it?
Sorry, no, I think I got you that the state governors of the Southeast are working in silos. The solution was to be the launching of Ebubagu following the launching of Amotekun in the Southwest. But somehow, the governors of that era didn't, take it to the final point. And states were now allowed or left to begin to plan their own interventions. And I believe that that regional force, even if it doesn't go by that name, must be returned. It has to be restored. I will tell you why. We talk about Ihiala in Anambra State. Why Ihiala? Ihiala is the closest local government to Imo State. And much of the program we have in Ihiala is launched from outside the Anambra State. I don't want to begin to apportion blames to any state, but it is important to point out to Nigerians that the people that have been arrested, hundreds of them, over 70% are not in the Anambra, they are not from Anambra State. So why are they here? They are here because money is in Anambra State. And they come to make money through criminal means in Anambra State. So that is why you may have preponderance of this insecurity in Anambra State. It is quite important. But we cannot begin to drive our brothers away from Anambra as a way of restoring a total security. We need a regional cooperation. There has to be that regional platform. The way we have security structure in Anambra, we have now state level, local government level, and then community level that we now call Operation Udogachi. That is, peace must prevail. I expect that a regional level of security intervention should be launched as quickly as possible, because if you flush them out of Anambra, they will go to other states and continue their business there, and the problem will continue. And when Soludo came in, 8 local government areas in Anambra, they were in the hands of these hoodlums and criminals, and he was worried about that, and he took them head on and retrieved almost all the local government areas. And Ihiala still remains a problem. Ihiala remains a problem, and it has to be. Ihiala has to be retrieved. Like I said before, as we speak, there is a total showdown in Ihiala and some parts of Moruba. My incumbent aspirant for governorship spoke here. I understand where he is coming from, because Soludo has performed seriously.
Dr. Mefo, we're sorry. We've exceeded our break time. We will allow you to, close your thoughts when we come back. We want to take a short break. When we come back, we will continue and begin to look at how the Southeast governors can come together, because that's probably the only solution now. They need to work in synergy to come up with proactive, and constructive solution to the security crisis in the Southeast. Please don't go away. We'll be right back.
All right, welcome back. And if you've just joined us, well, you're not too late. This is Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA, and we've been discussing insecurity in the Southeast with a view to profiling solutions. And so let me get back here in the studio with Mary Koku, and I wanted to ask, everybody seems to agree that non-kinetic strategies might work. That's what your PISP is also doing. But then, what needs to be done? For instance, we've come to an agreement, kind of, that a lot of money is lost on Monday.
Yeah.
What needs to be done to encourage the people psychologically, to reassure the people that they could go about their businesses on a Monday, for instance, and not get hurt?
Good. So trust building. Building trust is very, very important, for peace to reign in Southeast. And the non-kinetic approach, which involves a lot more of community policing and alternative means of quelling the crisis, where you are now going to have people on that negotiation table engaging the people, engaging the stakeholders. And the average Southeasterner, let me say the average Igbo man, is a fearless person. So when you come to them or come at them with sounds of guns, you don't solve any insecurity problem largely in that region. There are people, you need to look at the culture of the people and their behavioral patterns. There are people you need to really engage. And when you have convinced them, you can take them home. You need to let them understand the impact of what they are doing and how it affects their livelihood. They are not these are not very difficult things to do. And then you address the issues they've raised. They've had their pain points with which the people of the Southeast has consistently spoken about in this country. Issues of marginalization, issues of decayed infrastructure. Address them. And I'm happy that this president deemed it fit to sign and assent to the Southeast Development Commission. That Development Commission, how it is different from the other development commissions is what people are not seeing. The high point of that is that it was premeditated on the fact that since 1970, post-Civil War, the issue of the 3R has not been responded to until now. And that Southeast Development Commission, which was vigorously championed and sponsored by the Deputy Speaker, which eventually we have today, and the President has deemed it fit to set the board up rolling. And funds, the budget has been made for that Development Commission. It will begin to address those issues of the 3R, which is rehabilitating the region, reconstruction of broken schools and bridges during the Civil War, and even conceptualizing new projects towards developing the Southeast. That is one way of addressing it. But there are more things that needs to happen. I want to see a situation where our people in the Southeast are not made to go through very horrific daily road movement, where the people of the Southeast, on a daily basis, if they are moving, at military checkpoints, they are ordered out of their vehicles to walk past the military checkpoint. I don't know the reason for that. But what I can tell you that it dehumanizes the people. And this is where the non-kinetic approach works. We want to see a Southeast one day that the military, the policing, they can, tweak their operations or modus operandi somewhere. We want to see one day that
I will have to.
Do you imagine one day to see a community football where police officers and people in the villages, in the community, are playing novelty football together? Those people you play football with will give you intel. Yes. Security is intelligence as well. When you work with the people of the Southeast, people in those communities, they know these bad guys. They'll be able to give the police, give the military information. And I think the non-kinetic approach should just be it. And it will address a lot of things.
Yes, but even before you have the non-kinetic approach, the football peace match you talked about.
Yeah.
Peace, you have to have an environment of peace. You have to have a peaceful environment to be able to, implement, this non-kinetic area. And I'm surprised that even the three of you, who are stakeholders in the Southeast project, you haven't mentioned a factor, that most analysts would always would normally point at, to be a very significant, measure in this search for peace in the Southeast, and that is the condition of Nnamdi Kanu.
You see, the condition of Nnamdi Kanu, I believe so much will contribute to peace in the Southeast. Because you see, these are young people that perpetrate these crimes we're talking about. And I believe that if he is released, he has one or two followers. I don't know, I can't tell you that AYZ is the people doing this into kidnapping because I am not the commissioner of police in any of the states. Neither am I the governor to have the intelligence report. But I believe, as someone that has a large number of followers, at this point, I think if this will lead to peace, it's releasing him, I think it should be done. And also, it doesn't end there. One of the things...
Do you think releasing him will make Mondays, remove the ban on Mondays activities?
Well, I may not say 100% exactly yes, because I don't really know the people now behind the Monday sit at home. Because there have been calls, now they kind of have said, I am not behind this sit at home. I didn't tell anybody to. I've heard statements from him. I didn't tell anybody to sit at home. So it now shows that there are more of like a criminal element in this sit at home. Now people who feel this is an opportunity for us to catch him. So releasing him goes a long way. Yeah. But I may not give it 100% credit because I will say the people doing the sit at home comes from him. I can't say that authoritatively until I know the people.
And that's because many already believe that this whole thing has degenerated into a criminality, pure criminality, with proliferation of arms and all of that, and which release of Nnamdi Kanu alone may not, deal with the issues because of the arms in the hands of non-state actors. So how do we deal with this aspect of the issues? Proliferation of firearms all over the place. In fact, the fact that this sit-at-home continues to go on and the governors are helpless tells you that the non-state actors may have the upper hand in all of this.
Well, the truth of the matter is, let the governors of the Southeast come together, liaise with the federal government. Now that the opportunity has been given, like the Southeast Development Commission and what have you, they should come together, tell themselves the truth, put the interests of their people first. It will be easily resolved. Because with political solution, when you carry everybody along, the trust building she's talking about will be easily there. But the issue now is who to trust. That's the problem. When you rebuild the trust of the people, I am telling you, the people will cooperate with you and these crimes will fizzle out. The issue of Nnamdi Kanu they're talking about is just a shadow to what they are agitating for. If they do the right thing, his issue is a non-entity. They should deal with the issue of the concerns of the general person in the Southeast. That is to be carried along, to be recognized politically and everything. Because Nigeria is a country that we agreed to come together on equal terms. The moment you feel that you are not carried along in that terms,
you don't feel like you belong.
It's simple. So I'm telling you, we should understand this psyche and do the needful. All these very, very issues we're treating without treating the main thing will not lead us to the solution. Secondly,
yes,
the issue of the security operations should be changed to intelligence-based operations and community policing. By the time you do that, the people there will feel, yes, because I said I work there. She is right. The way you see checkpoints there, they're dehumanizing. It's as if we're in a war zone. No, there should be retraining by the security forces to be more people's-friendly. Their orientation should change. They should carry the people along. If you are sent to police somebody, doesn't mean you should prosecute him and feel he's a criminal. No. You should carry him along. And I'm telling you, by the time you recognize somebody as a human being, he'll prove to you that he's a human being. But you treat somebody as an animal, he will treat you worse than an animal. That is the response mechanism we're getting from the Southeast.
Sorry, we have to take the conversation to
Yola.
Yes,
Yeah.
to Yola, because we have just a few minutes. Thank you for the points that you have raised. Let's also hear from former CP Ojukwu. And again, the second Niger bridge was a very, fundamental achievement of the immediate past administration that even the Southeast stakeholders, have lauded and, commended. But again, that is just one out of the promise of post-Civil War promise of reconciliation. Recently, President Tinubu visited, the southeast and made some promises, among which, of course, is the Eastern Rail Line connecting Port Harcourt to Maiduguri, and also to harness some of the oil and gas, potential in the Anambra Basin and all that. Does this signal hope for the southeast?
I do agree that the visit of the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to Enugu in particular was highly strategic and significant. It has kind of pulled the rug off the feet of agitators and those who are still feeling marginalized. It's a very good point he has made. And the fact that, the previous administration never factored in the Southeast in the rail project. Other regions got it, Southeast did not. So for him to make that promise, and I believe works are already going on to put it, is a plus for him, and it will help to douse agitation. It will help to douse the feelings of marginalization. People who are hurting will feel better. But if I may relate that back, because this feeling of bad ill treatment by the federal government that's making somebody say, what's my own in this federation? People federate by consent. Somebody can say no. You need to discuss with him, why are you saying no? Keep saying yes, because the Igbos, the Southeast, stands to benefit more from the federation than being alone. That's my assessment. But there's one aspect which I am also fair to say, but I may not have a chance again. Policing of the nation of the Southeast is local. Who are those in charge of local? The grassroots, traditional rulers. I have not seen much peace between the traditional rulers and the governors or the governments of the day. We have seen situations where some of the traditional rulers were imposed by governors on the people, and the people naturally will revolt. As they revolt, there will be no connection between them and security to give information. There have been also instances where you have presidents general imposed by government who are attacking or at polar opposites with traditional rulers. So that disconnect within the community does not give the environment for flow of information or intelligence to the police and security agencies. With that void, criminals will exploit it and begin to cause problems. That should be addressed as well. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, retired CP Emmanuel Ojukwu. Let's quickly get back to Dr. Law Mefo. Dr. Mefo, you started a contribution earlier before we went on that break. Perhaps you will seize this opportunity to round off your thoughts, but you have such a short time because that's all we have on the program. Unmute yourself so that we can hear you. We can't hear you at the moment. Please unmute yourself so that you can speak.
Can you hear me now?
Please go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Go ahead, please.
Good. I say that we have in place now Operation Udogachi. Peace must prevail. And it combines kinetic and non-kinetic. We have more boots on ground now. We have technology. We have the best tracking system in Anambra now. We have a call center. We have a call center. If you see something, say something. Call 5111, 5311. And whatever information that you give will be treated with utmost confidentiality. And it's also important to know that the Anambra State government has incentivized information. Any information you give that will lead to the busting of any camp, any gang, you can earn as much as 5 million naira. And again, I want to assure us, Operation Dogachi has nothing to do with politics. It will not be politicized. And my brother aspirant in the studio, I plead with him and other politicians to stop politicizing insecurity. They should stop demarketing Anambra State. Much of what they say in the open, in the media, is orchestrated and exaggerated. Yes, there is insecurity, but not to the quantum that they are really orchestrating and presenting to the world. Anambra is not the worst hit in the southeast or in Nigeria, and we are up and running. There is a showdown all over Anambra now, particularly in Ihiala. We are reclaiming the state, totally reclaiming the state. And I want him to come. I will drive around with him. Politicians must come to the party. They have to be part of the process. You do not demarcate your state. You do not politicize insecurity. When it comes to insecurity, all hands must be on deck. That is where I want to leave my intervention. Thank you for the opportunity to contribute.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Lomefo. Claire?
I don't know if we have one more time to take...
just 1 minute.
Yes, just 60 seconds. Just give us your closing remarks. How can we get the Southeast governors to work together in synergy to come to a regional resolution?
The opportunity has been provided for them now. They have seen it, they have had it. Those who are reporting to them should tell them that what the Southeast now needs is synergy among them. They should put their political differences aside. Mr. President has given the opportunity now. Let them come together. Let them form a common front that will identify the threats, the factors responsible, and deal with them. No state can do it alone unless they synergize. The moment they synergize, it will be very easy for them. And I'm telling you, by the time the Southeast is stabilized, the nation will be happy and economic development will thrive. Because I think that's the approach of the current administration. Mr. President wants every region to feel carried along. They should not allow the opportunity to sleep.
Indeed.
Simple.
Thank you very much, Ibrahim Ahmed Katsina, former Assistant Director General of the DSS and former Special Advisor to Governor Masari on security matters. It's been a pleasure having you on the program.
Thank you so much.
All right, let me also thank Mary Koku, who is chair of the Media and Communications, Media and Communications Peace in Southeast Project PICE-P. It's been a pleasure having you. I think this gender spice too. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here. This is very important to you.
Well, let me also thank Dr. Onyeka Young Nwafo, APC governorship aspirant in Anambra State. We thank you for your time and for your thoughts. Thank you. Thank you for coming. And away from the studio, let's get to Yola to thank CP Emmanuel Ojukwu, retired former Force PRO. We appreciate your perspectives on the program. Thank you. And last but not the least, let's thank Dr. Lomefo, our friend and Commissioner for Information, Anambra State, who's joined us via Zoom. We thank you for your contributions and wish you well in your assignment.
Thank you.
All right. Good morning, Nigeria. We thank you very much for watching. Tomorrow is another day. We'll be here, and we hope you will be too. I am Victor, so join us again.
And I'm Claire Adelabu Abdulrazak. Bye-bye for now.